welcome to my little corner. So today I am going to get very personal, and I am going to tell you about some things that I've been struggling with for the past year. This video is completely for educational purposes. If you're not mature enough to talk about sex and the female anatomy, then you should probably leave the video right now. I'm not gonna blame you, it's alright. Go on. Let's start from the very beginning of how everything started. So I got married on May 12th of last year, 2016. And I need to point out that I got married as a virgin, and I never used tampons in my life. I always thought that tampons looked really scary, and I didn't even try to use them. So we get married, and you know what couples do when they get married, they need to consummate the marriage. And when we try to consummate the marriage, something was terribly wrong. Something that's supposed to be just natural and that just everyone does it, and it was impossible for me. There was no way it was gonna happen. We tried, and like, I was sobbing, I was crying, I was in tears, like I could not take it. And to put it in nicer words is like he was just knocking on the door, and I didn't even let him come in because I was already subbing at that point. It was that painful. It was excruciating. It was awful. And then I was just like, what is wrong with me? I mean, is it because I'm nervous? Like, everyone says that it hurts the first time, and I was nervous about it, so is it because of that? For a whole week, we kept trying again and again, and the result was always the same. It was impossible. It was excruciating. There was no way it's gonna happen. And at that point, there was so much self-guilt and confusion. I did not know what was wrong with me. So what do you do when there's something wrong with you? You Google it. So I tried my best to express what was going on to Google, and I just came across some articles talking about different types of hymens. Apparently, there are different types of hymens. Everyone talks about the whole thing, your hymen needs to break, pop the cherry, and all those crazy terms. When the truth is, your hymen stretches, so your hymen is supposed to stretch out instead of completely breaking. So the different types of hymens is the regular one, where it's like around the opening. Then there's the imperforate hymen, which your hymen is completely closed. There's no opening whatsoever. You can't even get your period. And this one, I guess, this one is kind of dangerous because as soon as you start getting your period, it needs to come out. So you need to get surgery right away to cut it so that the blood flows out. Then there's the microperforate hymen, which is kind of like the imperforate hymen, but this time, instead of being completely closed, there's one tiny little hole, or lots of very tiny holes. And even though you can get your period, the blood flows out, you can't do anything else than that, so you also need to cut it. And then there's the hymen that I found out that I have, which is a septate hymen. This one is like a tricky one because you think you're normal and then you're not. So you have the regular hymen in you, and then let's say, I didn't want to go graphics, but let's say this is your vagina, enlarged. It's enlarged for visual purposes. So you would have like your hymen around it, like a layer of skin in here. But then you have this, okay? And this thing in the middle is, they say it's a thin piece of skin or tissue, but it actually looked and felt very thick and is right across, and it creates two holes instead of one regular one. So the problem with that is that I always had my period because there's two holes, the blood can come out. And I never use a tampon, and if I did use a tampon, I would have figured out that it would have gotten stuck there. And I would have probably figured there was something wrong. I never been to a gyno, so I went to the gynecologist for the first time in my life. I was super nervous. I went to a female gynecologist, and because this was one of the super major issues I had about this whole problem and why it took so long. It was all about money problems. So I'm going to tell you all the prices because this was something I googled a lot for, and no one ever mentioned the costs of anything. And that drove me crazy, so I'm sure whoever is watching this that's on the same boat is gonna want to know. So I went to this gynecologist for the first time ever. It was a female gynecologist, and the consultation was $180. And that is a lot. And just, I need to mention that I do not have health insurance. So without any insurance, of course, I had to pay full price of everything. So we're at the office, and I'm telling her about what was wrong. I already knew what I had. I was just letting her know so that she could tell me what to do about it. I specifically told her, it hurts a lot. It was excruciating. Be careful, because it hurts a lot. She had no mercy on me. She was just like, I'm just gonna dive right in. No mercy. I was screaming there. At some point, like, she did not say these exact words, but she said something that pretty much was the same thing as saying, if you don't suck it up, then I can't examine you. And in the end, she said, yes, I see you have a band of tissue in there. I can do the surgery for you. And then we go on ahead to the accountant, whatever it was, that told us the price of the surgery. And then she told us about a number of fees that the surgery would cost. So the surgery itself would be $1,500. And then because she could not do it in the office, I would have to go to the hospital so she could do it. And then the hospital has another fee of another $1,500. And then she also said that there's an anesthesia fee. It's not free either. So the anesthesia itself would be between $300 to $500. When she said that, I was holding myself. As soon as I got out of the building, I got into the car, I started crying. I was sobbing in the car. We didn't have that money. We still don't have that money. It was, so all of a sudden, we need $3,500. And where is that money gonna come from? You know, even if you try to save money, it's gonna take a very, very long time, because we have expenses, we have rent, we have all kinds of bills, there's food, we need to buy food, and it's like, when is this gonna happen? And we got so frustrated and depressed about that at some point, we kind of gave up. Of course, I looked for other doctors. In the area, in this whole city, I looked for like every single gynecologist in the city. I called a lot of them. They either did not know what I was talking about, or they couldn't tell me the price of the surgery without a consultation first. And then months later, December last year, so at the very end of the year, I decided to look again. It's like God gave me a second chance there, and he was like, okay, I did some magic for you, so you gotta do another research. And I felt like at that point I read every single article about this situation, every single story that anyone ever told about this story, videos, everything. I was all over the internet. And this time, I don't know how I missed it before, but I found this one doctor and he said this surgery, depending on how extensive the surgery may be, it can cost from $300 to over $1,200. But that, when you give me that price range, of course I'm looking at the $300 that you said as a minimum. My main concern about it was that it was a male gynecologist, and I was kind of like, this is kind of weird and I don't know how to feel about that. And after, discussing it with my husband and talking about it with other people, I finally made up my mind to, you know what, it's gonna be fine, let's do this. So I set up a consultation, and the consultation was only $50. This doctor was amazing compared to the other female doctor. She had no mercy on me. I explained the situation. I even told him about the other gyno I went to, and he was very careful, super gentle, and he was concerned about me, like he believed it hurt. And then he saw the issue and he told us, oh, that's a very simple surgery. I can do this in the office and it's only $300. Me and my husband there, the relief was unbelievable. It's like a huge weight just came off our shoulders. It was like, we can finally breathe now, there's hope. We scheduled the surgery for the very next day. So, the day of the surgery comes, and I was not allowed to drink or eat anything 4 hours, up to 4 hours before the surgery. And since the surgery was in the morning, I just did not eat breakfast. I didn't eat anything in the morning. This time my husband could not go in with me, so he had to wait in the waiting room. So I went in by myself, and then a nurse checks my pressure. She looks for a vein, and then she had this needle. It was not really a needle. It was like a needle, but it was like the base of it, like an adapter where you can actually put a real needle inside of it, like inject it on that. I really don't know what it is. So I see that she had the intention of putting a needle on my hand. So I start freaking out and I'm like, oh my god, is that gonna hurt? And she's like, it's not gonna hurt. I couldn't even look at it. I just looked away from it. And then she's like, okay, it's done. And I look at it, and I have that adapter needle thing stuck in my hand. She put it there, stuck in my vein, and then she put tape on top of it. After she put the adapter, she actually injected something on my hand. It was a IV sedation, and the purpose of that is that I stopped feeling nervous and I completely relaxed. As soon as she put that, I felt dizzy right away. And then she left me there for so long, and I was just feeling slowly, all my nerves, all my stress went away, but I started feeling so weak, and dizzy, and I was just feeling like, is this what being drugged feels like? And I felt like I could not move. Just trying to lift up an arm was like, oh my god, this is so heavy. Anyway, after a very, very long time, they finally come in and be like, okay, can you walk? And I was like, I'm not sure. But I managed to get up, and I was walking very slowly, like I'm so weak right now. And they took me to the operation room. And then I laid down on the table. The doctor was there. I still had the thing stuck in my hand. And then the doctor injected the anesthesia. I remember looking up at the lights on the ceiling and then saying I feel dizzy. Like I really was like even dizzier than I was before. And I blacked out. That's it. I said I felt dizzy and I blacked out completely. And when I woke up again, there was like nurses everywhere around me. I was laying down still on the table, my legs all spread open, and there was like 2 or 3 nurses. I really don't remember much. Like I was awake, but I don't remember much because it's like scattered memories because of the anesthesia. I wake up and I'm like, is it over? Is it done? I'm so confused. And then there's this nurse that has a tampon, my biggest nightmare. And then she has a tampon and then she's explaining to me, okay, so what you're gonna do every day for 10 days. So for 10 days I would have to do this. I'd have to get a tampon. I had to get like a lubricant. I put lubricant all over, lots all over the tampon so it slides in, and then you kind of put it in. And then she actually put it in, but at that time I was still so drugged from the anesthesia I did not feel a thing. And then it's like it's all done, and then I get up and then I put my clothes back on, and then they take me out of the room and sit me on a chair again because they just called my husband saying that the surgery was over and he was supposed to take the car to the pickup area so that he can take me. The healing process for after the surgery is going to take 2 weeks. It would take 2 weeks for me to heal down there. And only after 2 weeks I could actually try to have intercourse again. By the way, I'm very sorry about all the lighting changes in this video because I don't know, the clouds keep going over the sun and I have to keep changing the lighting setups on the camera and it's driving me crazy. So 2 weeks to recover from the surgery, and that would not be too bad. It's very quickly and everything would be fine except for another problem. The tampon problem. So even though it was 2 weeks, I would have to always have a tampon in so that when it's healing, the hymen doesn't stick back in. So the doctor didn't want it to like heal back together or something. I don't know how that would happen if you already cut it, but I'm sure there's a reason. And so the tampon would avoid it for it to touch so that it would not heal back together, and if that happened, I would have to go through everything all over again. So here's the thing. Now I gotta use tampons for the first time ever. And I just had surgery, so it was sore down there. Even though the tampon is small and all, and it shouldn't hurt, it was awful. It hurt. It was unbelievable. So I would only have to change the tampon 1 time a day. The problem was putting it in. It was awful. Like, it hurt so much. It's like I would like try to put it in and it was like I'm hitting a wall. Like, I had surgery. There's not supposed to be a wall in there anymore, but it would not go in. Like, I would like try to find an angle, and it was just so frustrating. It was painful, and I was always so uncomfortable with the tampon in. After I took out the tampon on the very last day where it was over, I was like so happy. I was like, I don't ever want to see a tampon ever again in my life. After the 2 weeks, I had to have another consultation so that the doctor would see and make sure that everything is fine, everything is healed properly. Even with just a finger again, the whole problem was removed, but it still hurts so much. Because apparently I have another problem, and that problem is called vaginismus. And this affects so many women out there, and there's just no one talks about it. So I'm here talking about it so people can be aware that this is a real problem and women are not making this up. Where it's not excuses for not wanting to have intercourse, it's a real thing and people should be aware of that. So vaginismus is mainly a psychological thing. So pretty much you're expecting the pain. So with all of your stress, anxiety, nervous, women who are raped will probably have this condition. Any kind of traumatic situation that you went through down there. My problem was I have anxiety and I'm always so nervous about it. And then after all, I've only felt pain. Ever since the beginning, I've only felt pain down there. So even now, after the issue is removed, I'm still expecting the pain. And so my vagina muscles only remember the pain. So as soon as everything touches, it's like a reflex. You don't really control it anymore. So instead of being relaxed, you like tense up and you close it. Even if you try to relax, you can't really control it anymore. It's involuntary. And that's why it's a condition called vaginismus. And there's actually a treatment for vaginismus, and there's like almost 100% of success rate. So it's something that can be fixed. You just need to, dedicate yourself to it and, want to be fixed, because everything's gonna be okay. So if you go to vaginismus.com, you'll hear everything about it and how to treat it, and all your questions will be answered in that website. And to treat vaginismus, you should use dilators. You should know dilators are not dildos, okay? This is not a kinky fantasy, stuff. This is not that. So dilators are it's just like this cylinder looking things, and it's like it comes in a set. So it comes from different sizes, so you have to train yourself to relax. So the smallest one is like the size of a finger, and then it gets bigger, bigger in here and bigger in here. Okay, so there's like 6 of them. I bought it from that website, and they just get bigger and bigger. So you have to train yourself every day, dedicate yourself to it, okay? Use a lot of lubricant, and then you go from the very beginning, and then you have to leave them on for like 5 to 10 minutes at least. You need to train your body to relax and to accept it. I remember it was so hard in the beginning. It hurt. But I kept trying, and I would try to relax, breathe in and out, try to relax. And as soon as you're comfortable with one, you move on to the bigger one, and so on. At this point, we were like just a little bit over a week, almost Valentine's Day. And Valentine's Day was just around the corner. It just happened like 2 days ago. And I had a goal. For treating vaginismus, it usually takes like a few months. You do every day. And then it also depends on how severe your vaginismus condition is. I had a goal. I was like, I want to be fixed by Valentine's Day. I thought it seems like a good day to, I want to be fixed by then, and I'm going to consummate my marriage on Valentine's Day. And I set my mind to that's going to happen, and I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to fix my body, and I'm going to train myself. And every single day for like a whole week or a little bit over a week, every day I would do it. And even though they say do it for like 15 to 20 minutes, I was doing it for like an hour and a half to 2 hours. I was like, it's not done yet, because I'm not comfortable yet with this one. So I kept doing it, and I had my mindset, and I'm like, I'm gonna fix myself. And with all that devotion, I made it. I fixed myself. I fixed vaginismus in a week with the dilators because I had that mindset. After a whole year of frustration and depression, everything is okay now. After going through all this. So that is my whole story, and the whole point of this is that if you're going through the same things, you should know you are not alone. And there's like thousands, if not millions, of women who go through the same thing. It's just that they do not talk about it. And that's a mistake. People should talk about it. Like sex ed at school, instead of only talking about diseases, we know about the diseases, talk about different kinds of hymens. Women, no one even knows about it. Even some gynos don't even know about it. I just want everyone to know that everything can be okay. Don't panic if you find out there's something wrong with you, like if you find you have a hymen problem or the vaginismus, if sex is too painful for you, like even one finger or a tampon is too painful for you, you probably have this, and you should know you can treat it like I did, and you're gonna be okay. So I guess this is what I needed to hear, what I needed to know, because after finding out all this, I was panicking, and it was so hard for me. I had a very hard time dealing with all of this. And what made me feel better was finding out that I'm not alone, and there's so many other girls that went through the same thing as I did. So I felt less weird because all I could think about was what is wrong with me. So yeah, I guess that's it for this whole story. I talked for like so long, I don't even know. I'm so sorry this is so long. But yeah, I hope this video can help at least one person. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And make sure to subscribe, because now I do 2 videos a week. That's exciting. And yeah, I will see you next time. Bye bye.